Dari Uthman ibn Affan berkata, aku mendengar Nabi SAW bersabda, sesiapa yang membaca Bismillahilladzi la yadurru ma'asmihi syai'un fil ardi wa la fis sama' wa huwa as-sami'ul alim, yang bermaksud dengan nama Allah yang dengan namanya tidak ada sesuatu pun yang dapat memberikan kemudaratan di bumi maupun di langit. Dialah yang maha mendengar lagi maha mengetahui. Sebanyak 3 kali, maka dia tidak akan ditimpa bala yang datang secara tiba-tiba sehingga subuh. Dan barang siapa yang membacanya ketika subuh sebanyak 3 kali, maka dia tidak akan ditimpa bala secara tiba-tiba sehingga petang, iaitu malam. Hadis rawahu Abu Dawud menurut Sheikh Shu'aib Al-Arnud. Hadis ini adalah hasan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrabbilalamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day to everyone. I hope everyone is doing well and staying at home. Okay, remember that we are now entering our phase 5 of the Recovery Movement Control Order to stop the COVID-19 chain. So the best way that you can save yourself and your loved one is by staying at home. Do not go out until the 24th of June if you do not have anything important to do outside. If you do need to go out, please take necessary precautions. Okay, I am teacher Nur Zahirah binti Othman from Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Dato Sheikh Ahmad, Perlis. And for today's session, I'm going to share with all of you your poem, The Living Photograph. And maybe if we have time, I'll be giving some tips for your section C reading comprehension. I have been involved with SPM English 2 paper for a few years. So hopefully my sharing will be beneficial to all SPM 2020 or 2021 candidates. Perlis Mengaji, let's proceed. Okay, your paper 2. Okay, your paper 2, 1119/2. It is best that you know all the sections of your paper 2. So your paper 2 consists of 4 sections. Section A, you have your multiple choice questions. That would be question 1 to 15, and it gives you 15 marks. Okay, it is important that you answer all the questions given. There's a way for you to do that, and make sure you answer all 1 to 15. And then we have section B, your information transfer. Okay, this is question 16 to 25, and section B will give you 10 marks. There are several tips and also ways for you to answer your information transfer, and I always inform my student, for section B, you should be getting full 10 marks. Okay, and then section C is your comprehension questions and also your summary. Your comprehension questions is your question 26 until 30. That is only 5 questions, but it carries 10 marks. And you have your summary, that is your question 31, and that is 15 marks. And last is your section D, your literature component. Okay, in section D, you will be tested on 1 poem and also 1 novel. Your poem will be question 32, and your novel, Dear Mr. Kilmer, I believe that most of the schools in Perlis, except for 1, is using Dear Mr. Kilmer. And your novel will give you 15 marks, your poem will give you 5 marks. Total for your paper 2 is 70. So between your paper 1 and also your paper 2, which is important? For me, I believe that both are equal important. Okay? And the time allocation for your paper 2 is 2 hours and 15 minutes. Please make sure you manage your time well when you sit for the paper. Okay, next. So let's move to question 32 of your SPM paper 2, your poem. Okay, in 2016, the poem What Has Happened to Lulu came out. This is the first poem for Form 5. Okay. In 2017, The Poison Tree, another poem from Form 5. And 2018, SPM 2018, we have Charge of the Light Brigade. This is your Form 4 poem. And last year, 2019, we have The Living Photograph. This is another Form 4 poem that you should be learning. Okay, so in your latest literature component, there are 4 poems that Form 5 and Form 4 students are learning. 2 in Form 4, The Living Photograph and Charge of the Light Brigade, and also 2 in Form 5, What Has Happened to Lulu and The Poison Tree. So, if you look at this, all the 4 poems came out from 2016 to 2019. So what about this year? Well, it is best that you know all 4 because we never know which one will come out again. Right. For today's session, we will be looking at the poem. Okay, you have to know your poem. And then we will go by stanza and by lines to understand the meaning of the poem. And we will also be looking at the elements of the poem. We will be discussing the themes and also moral values. Next, we will look at some sample questions, okay, and tips on how to deal with the questions that you have. And finally, section C, reading comprehension tips. Okay, I'm going to give a brief explanation of your SPM 2019 paper 2. Okay. Now, let's get to know the poet for The Living Photograph. Okay, the poet for The Living Photograph is Jackie Kay. She was born in Edinburgh, Scotland in 1961 to a Scottish mother and a Nigerian father. She was adopted by a white couple at birth and was brought up in Glasgow studying at the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama. Okay, if you look at her background, it is closely related to the poem The Living Photograph. Okay, this is because her experience of being adopted and growing up within a white family inspired her writings. Her first collection of poetry, The Adoption Papers, deals with an adopted child's search for a cultural identity and are told through 3 different voices: adoptive mother, birth mother, and also a daughter. Okay, so her works, okay, convey an ongoing belief in power of stories and poems, not just to promote understanding and empathy, but to reveal, dignify, and transform lives. Okay, next, her works range from drama, fictions, non-fictions, poetry, and also short stories. And I also listed some of her works and the awards that she received. Okay, now let's listen to the poem, The Living Photograph, and you can also recite the poem together. Okay, so that's your poem, okay, The Living Photograph. There are 3 stanzas in the poem, and what I have here are some of the words that can be found in your poem. I have straight back, pleated, bun, sorry, this is sharp, okay, not harp, and S is missing, hunch, awful, unthinkable, and crinkle. Okay, these words, I believe, are some important words that you need to know the meaning when you deal with the living photograph. Okay, straight back, pleated, bun, and sharp are in stanza 1. Hunch, awful, unthinkable are in stanza 2. And crinkle are in stanza 3. So your poem consists of stanza 1, 2, and 3, and they are altogether 16 lines. Okay, it is very important for you to know how many lines you have in your poem, so that when you answer the questions given to you, you can give the line that they ask for. Okay, now let's look at the meaning of these words. Well, straight back, I have a photo here showing example of how straight back should be. And I also give you meaning in BM. It means belakang yang lurus dan tidak bongkok. Next, pleated. Okay, in the poem we have a phrase, pleated skirt. So pleated means folded or creased. In BM it means berlipat. Bun, a hairstyle that looks like a bun. Okay, in BM it means sanggul, sejenis ikatan rambut. So by looking at the photo, I believe you can imagine how a bun should look like when you tied up your hair. Okay, next we have the word sharp. Okay, sharp means alert or very quick to respond. Or in the poem, sharp is showing that the grandmother is very brave. Okay, in BM it means tajam or berwaspada. Okay, next word is hunch. Right? The meaning of hunch is bent or deformed. When a person grows older, the back will be hunch. Okay? Or in BM is bongkok. We have the word awful, that means terrible or unpleasant. Teruk, dahsyat, mengerikan in BM. And then we also have unknown, mysterious or unfamiliar. In BM it means yang tidak diketahui, penuh misteri. Okay, because in stanza 2 we have one line that tells the persona is having questions of the whereabouts of the grandmother after she passed away. Next, we have crinkled. Crinkled means wrinkled, creased, or in BM it means berkedut. You can look at the photos given to know the meaning better. Okay, now we will be discussing your poem. So this is your stanza 1, line 1. My small grandmother is tall there. The word tall in line 1 means the posture, okay? And it also shows that the grandmother is healthy and well. And then we have the word there. There means the photograph, okay? Your line 1 seems to be quite simple, but the word there is the famous question that they like to ask question on, right? So there refers to the photograph. Line 2 and line 3. straight back, white broderie Anglaise shirt, pleated skirt, flat shoes, grey bun. So your line 2 and your line 3 describes the grandmother's physical appearance. She's having good posture, and then what she's wearing, an embroidered shirt, very prim and proper, and she's wearing non-heeled shoes. For an older person, it is more comfortable to wear a flat shoes. And then her hair is tied up in a bun. A kind old smile round her eyes. This line means her smile, the grandmother's smile, shows that she is a kind and gentle and also a pleasant person. Okay, line 5, her big hand holds mine. Line 6, white hand in black hand. These two lines are very much debatable. Okay, if you go online, there are different opinions regarding line 5 and line 6 of the living photograph. But I always inform my students, for line 5 and line 6, these are the meaning. Grandmother is holding the grandchild's hand. Big hand holds mine. Big hand belongs to the grandmother. Mine refers to the persona, which is the grandchild. And then white hand belongs to the grandmother and black hand belongs to the grandchild. Okay, the line shows that the grandmother and the persona are of different races, white hand and black hand. That particular line shows that they are of different races. Next, line 7. Her sharp blue eyes look her own death in the eye. Okay, the word sharp here means brave, intelligent and alert. The grandmother has sharp blue eyes and they seem to look at death without fear. Why? Because grandmother is growing old and she knows that death is unavoidable. Okay, so here are some photos. I think by now you can relate the photos to your stanza 1. So the first photo, this is white broderie Anglaise shirt. This one, pleated skirt. What about this one? Grey bun. Her big hand holds mine. White hand in black hand. And also the grandmother, okay, with a pleasant smile. Okay, so basically your stanza 1, alright, in stanza 1, the persona describes the photograph, the grandmother being tall, well-dressed, in a white embroidered lace blouse with a pleated skirt and flat shoes. Her grey hair is pulled neatly into a bun. She holds the persona's hand in hers, giving her security and comfort. Their linked hands, white hand in black hand. It is clear that they come from a mixed-race family. And the last line of your stanza 1 suggests that the grandmother's death will come soon, but she was not afraid to leave the world. Okay, now your stanza 2. Line 8, it was true after all that look, the look of someone dying, and the persona's reference of death came true after that. Your line 9, my tall grandmother became small, so the grandmother's condition worsened. She became thinner, she became fragile, sick and also dying. Line 10, her back round and hunched. Okay, this line means the back of the grandmother became hunched due to old age. It is written, if you notice, your stanza 2 is written in the past tense because this is showing that the persona is remembering the old memory of the grandmother. Okay, we move to line 11. Line 11, her soup forgot to boil. The grandmother becomes forgetful, absent-minded, senile, or she is too ill or sick. Okay, she starts to forget things. Line 12, she went to the awful place grandmothers go. Okay, line 12, went here is not going somewhere, but this line means that the grandmother died or the grandmother passed away. Okay, somewhere unknown and unthinkable. So the place was a mystery to the persona. It was beyond her imagination. Okay, your stanza 2. Okay, as someone gets older, that is what happened to the back. And the place the grandmothers go, somewhere unknown, unthinkable for a person who was 3 years old at that time. Okay, so in the second stanza, the persona is remembering her grandmother when she is older and has become ill. The grandmother grows thinner, smaller, and more fragile. Her back is hunched and she becomes forgetful, as it is illustrated in the line, her soup forgot to boil. The grandmother passes away, and upon her death, she goes to an unimaginable place. Okay, stanza 3, the last stanza of your poem, and it only consists of 3 lines, okay? Line 14, line 15, and also line 16. So line 14, but there she is still. In the photograph, the grandmother will always be alive, and she can feel the grandmother's presence. Line 15, in the photo with me at 3. Me, the word me here refers to the persona, and this 3, the word 3. 3 refers to her age when the photo was taken. She was 3 years old. Okay? Very simple meaning for the word 3, but we do have candidates being careless and answer the question wrongly last year. Okay, the last line of the living photograph, the crinkled smile is still living, breathing. The last line means her grandmother's smile is still so alive and real. The memory of her grandmother is still new and fresh to her. Okay. Sample photo of a grandmother and a grandchild. Okay, so the last stanza, the persona's grandmother will forever be alive. Whenever she looks at the photograph, she feels the grandmother's presence. To the persona, the grandmother is still very much alive and smiling at her. Right. So this is your poem, stanza 1, stanza 2, and stanza 3, 16 lines, and a very simple explanation about the whole poem is, it is a poem about a grandchild looking at a photograph of his or her departed grandmother and remembering her. Even though the grandmother is gone, the photograph keeps her alive in the grandchild's memory. Okay? Now, let's look at the theme of the living photograph. The first theme is the everlasting quality of a photograph. Why? Because a photograph immortalizes a person or a moment. Okay? When you snap a photo, it will capture moments, memorable moments. Therefore, it is very precious. Whatever is captured in a photograph will remain alive forever. It will remain the same. Okay? In the poem, the persona's grandmother has already passed away. However, in the photograph, she will always look healthy and also alive. Next, a photograph also allows us to reflect on what happened in the past and relive our memories. Okay, next theme of the living photograph is about death. Okay, death is definite outcome for all of us. It is unavoidable. In the poem, the persona recalls how her grandmother was once strong and healthy, but soon grows older and becomes ill. She noticed the changes happening to the grandmother. And in the end, the grandmother passes away, and the persona is only able to relive her memories with her grandmother through a photograph. The third theme that I have listed is coping with grief and loss. Okay? It is about how we deal with our sadness of losing a person over death. So one way is to hang on to the good memories of a person. Okay, remember all the beautiful memories that we shared with that person. Now, another element of the poem that we should know is the moral values. Okay? So the first moral values for the living photograph is we must treasure our loved ones when they are alive. Okay, how to do that? By spending as much time as we can with our loved ones while they are still living. The persona loses her grandmother when she was younger, but she will always remember her. Okay, it is important that you know the moral values of the poem because this will be helpful for your hot question. Okay, the second moral value, we must never forget the importance of family relationship. We should not forget to love and care for our family, especially our grandparents who are the pillars of our family. And when they are old and sick, we must continue to take care of them. Okay, other moral values for the poems are we must strive for close family relationships. We must not dwell on the past too much, move on. And we should learn to let go of the dead. All right? Now, I have sample questions for you to answer according to stanza. Okay, we'll go by stanza. So, stanza 1, give 2 descriptions of the persona's grandmother's appearance. Okay, the way the grandmother's being described in your stanza 1. Okay, I'll give you a few seconds to think of the answer. It would be best if you have your poem with you. Alright, so 2 descriptions. One is tall. Okay, it is mentioned in stanza 1. And then we have straight back. The grandmother has a kind old smile. And she is properly dressed or very neat. Okay, those are the answers to question number 1. Okay, next question. Based on stanza 1, describe the grandmother's personality. So you have to think of suitable adjectives that you can use to describe the grandmother. So what are adjectives you can use to describe the grandmother? Well, you can use kind, warm, loving, caring. Okay, these are words to describe the grandmother and also our grandmother. Okay, question 3, still in stanza 1. Which line shows the grandmother is a very pleasant person? Alright, for question 3 and question 4, I give sample of question asking for which line. Okay, so when you have this type of question, you have to keep in mind the difference between a word, which line, and also which phrase. Okay, when you are asked for which word, please make sure only one word is given for your answer. If you are asked for the line, please make sure you state the correct line number, and my advice is to write the whole line. Okay, and if you are asked for which phrase, please make sure you pick out the correct phrase from the line given. Okay, especially if you have question asking for a word. If you give two words as your answer and one of the words given is correct, but since you have two words on the line given, it is still considered as wrong. You will get 0 for that. Okay, so please pay attention to the keywords of the question. So which line shows the grandmother is a pleasant person? The answer? It is line 4. This is how you should be writing your answer when you have a question asking for which line. Line 4, a kind old smile round her eyes. Okay, you state the number, the line number, and then you rewrite the line, the whole line. Okay. Next, the persona and her grandmother are of different races. Which line shows this difference? Okay, so the answer, clear cut, line 6, white hand in black hand. Okay, so how to make sure that you get your line number correct? So I always inform my students to number the lines in the poem once you take a look at your question. Okay, next, let's go to stanza 2. Okay, give two evidence showing the grandmother is affected by old age. So evidence 1, she became small. Evidence 2, her back round and hunched. Sorry. Okay, next question. Describe the grandmother when she was old and sick. So how are you going to describe the grandmother? If you look at the question 2 is similar to question 1, right? Almost the same. So, yes, the same answers can be accepted for this question. She became small and her back round and hunched. These are descriptions of the grandmother when she was old and sick. Okay, another question, still in stanza 2. Why did the grandmother boil her soup? Why? Why did she forget to boil her soup? The answer, she became forgetful, she was senile, or she was too ill or sick. Okay? Which line in stanza 2 tells us the grandmother passed away? This is a very famous question, okay? The line that given in stanza 2 telling that the grandmother passed away. So it is line 12, she went to the awful place grandmothers go. Okay, this part tells you that the grandmother passed away, the grandmother died. Okay, now stanza 3. There are only 3 lines in stanza 3, and the most famous and direct question that always being asked for your stanza 3 is, how old was the persona when the photograph was taken? So, to be safe, 3 years old. Okay. Next question. Describe the persona's feeling when she looks at the photograph. Okay. So, you can have sad, you can have nostalgic on as your answer. And then, question 3, give the phrase that describes the grandmother as being old. So, which phrase can describe that the grandmother as being old? Okay, so there are 3 lines in stanza 3, and the last line in stanza 3, the crinkled smile is still living, breathing. So, the phrase showing that the grandmother is being old is crinkled smile. Okay, you can just write down the phrase. I know that some candidates, they like to rewrite the part of the questions. The phrase that describes the grandmother as being old is crinkled smile. If you want to do that, please make sure your grammar parts are all correct. Okay. All right. Next, your HOTS question. Okay. the questions that need you to give your own opinion and think and relate to the poem that you have learned. Okay, so why do you think the grandmother wore flat shoes? Answer, most probably because she is aging and she cannot wear heeled shoes. Maybe another answer, it is more comfortable for a person of her age. Okay. Next, you are given a line from the poem, her soup forgot to boil. And what other thing do you think the grandmother was likely to forget to do? Give a reason to support your answer. So there are two parts of the question. One, something that she most likely forget to do, and the reason. Alright, so sample answer, where she placed her spectacles, or she forgot to turn on the kettle. Reason, as one gets older, it is normal to be forgetful. Alright? Okay, so now let's look at last year's question. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we do not know which poem will be tested this year, so it is a good thing for you to know all the four. So in your paper 2, question 32, you will be given the full poem, okay? It can be the living photograph, it can be Charge of the Light Brigade, the poison tree, or what has happened to Lulu. But don't worry, you will be given the whole poem, okay? A complete poem for you to refer to. So the first thing that I always tell my student is to number all the lines in your stanza. This is your stanza 1, stanza 2, stanza 3, and number. Just put down number 1 to number 7, number 8 to number 16. Okay? And please make sure you always read the instructions given for all the sections, not only for certain specific section. Okay, because examples are very important, especially for your information transfer. There are 2 sets of instructions given. You better read them or you will be losing marks. Okay? Alright. Okay, so this is the SPM question for last year. Now let's look at the pattern of the question. There are only 4 questions, A, B, C and D. And then each questions you will be getting 1 mark for every correct answer. Alright, but for question D, there are 2 parts of the question. And you will get 1 mark for the first part and another 1 mark for the second part of the question. Okay, so total of marks for your poem is 5, right? Very precious 5 marks. Now, let us discuss the question one by one. And let's try whether this year SPM candidate can get 5 marks from last year's question. Oops. Okay, the word there is mentioned twice in this poem. What do you think there refers to? This is the real SPM question, okay? Last year's question. So the word there, you have the word there in your stanza 1 and also in your stanza 3. So very easy question. To get 1 mark, your answer is the photograph or photograph in the photograph. You will get your 1 mark. Right. Now, your second question. In the poem, why did the grandmother become smaller in size? Okay, so question B, why did the grandmother become smaller in size? Okay, what are your answers? These are sample answer, okay? You only have to give 1 because it is only 1 mark. Right, so I listed for you 4. 1, because her back became hunched. 2, because she aged. 3, because she got ill, she got sick and she got older. And another answer, because she was dying. So, which one is accepted? right? All four are correct, okay? Why did the grandmother become smaller in size? Because her back became hunched, because she aged, because she got ill, because she was dying. All these answers, okay, will give you 1 mark. But remember, only one answer for your question, okay? And if you look at the order of the question, this first question is referring to the first stanza. The second question you have to refer to stanza 2. So it follows the flow, okay, of your poem. Okay, your next question. The persona views death with great fear. A statement is given to you. Give one line that shows this. The word one is already being bold for you, so please pay attention to this. In the exam, if you want to highlight keywords from the question, you can, okay, there's no problem. Alright, just do not disturb the answer part. So which line shows that the persona views death with great fear? This is still referring to your stanza 2, right? Okay, is it line 12? She went to the awful place grandmothers go. Or is it line 13? Somewhere unknown or unthinkable. So which one? So for last year, line 12, she went to the awful place grandmothers go. That is 1 mark. And we also accept line 13, somewhere unknown and unthinkable. These 2 lines, but you have to give one, okay? I'm showing you the 2 answers that we gave mark for last year. Okay, but for your part, you have to answer by giving only one answer. Do not give extra answer. We will always read the first one. Okay, and for the hot question, imagine that the persona is your friend. What would you do to help your friend in this situation? Okay, if you understand your poem, then you might know how to interpret this part, this situation. What is the situation that your friend is involved with? And why would you do this? This is the second part of the question, the hot question. So first part, what would you do to help your friend? How are you going to help your friend to deal with losing someone? Okay, somebody in the family died. So advise him or her to accept death. You should be referring to your friend as him or her, or my friend, okay, when you answer. Comfort him or her, give him or her a hug, or simply by just talking to him or her, okay? So all these samples of answers will give you 1 mark. But remember, you have the second part of the question. Why would you do this? Why would you help your friend? Okay, so reason 1, because death is part of life, and because she is my friend. Okay, she's my friend. So 1 mark and 1 mark for the reason. Alright, important tips for you. If you get your answer correct, both answers are correct, you will be getting 2 marks. If the way you do to help your friend is correct, but your reason is wrong, you will get 1 mark for your way of helping your friend. Let's say the way of helping your friend is wrong, but your reason is correct and logical. Sadly, you will still get 0. Okay, this is very important. Many candidates, they think that hot question is difficult, so they leave it. Please do not do that, okay? It is very precious for you to get the 2 marks. This is your opinion, okay? There's no right or wrong answer. Sometimes there is a wrong answer, but just try. Don't leave blank, all right? Okay. So basically, that is what you should know about your poem, right? Please make sure you know the 4 poems, okay? You have 2 Form 4 poems, 2 Form 5 poems, All 4 came out in SPM 2016, 17, 18 and 19. So for this year, I always inform them that you are the lucky ones to get, because we cannot guess which one will come out. Okay? Right. So I did prepare slides for reading comprehension, but because we are having shortage of time, I think I'm going to wrap up the slides now. Alright, so for this morning, okay, we have discussed the poem, okay. We discussed the meaning of the stanzas and also the meaning of the lines in the poem. I hope you understand, because this is a very simple poem. Okay, and then we also have looked at the elements of the poem. We look at the themes of the poem and also the moral values that you learned from the living photograph. And I also showed you questions, sample questions, and how to answer your questions, okay? And for your section C, reading comprehension, inshallah, if we have time, I'll show you and give you some tips on how to deal with your reading comprehension. And I believe that for the last lot next week, another teacher will be sharing about how to deal with your summary question. Okay, your section C consists of reading comprehension questions, 10 marks, and also summary, okay, 15 marks. Alright, so I'll skip the slides. So thank you very much to the state government, to Perlis State Education Department, to JAIPs and MAIPs, and a very big thank you to everyone for sharing the tips for me to be here, for the support, okay, and credits for all the teachers that I shared some materials from. And my students remind me that, teacher, you don't have to say, don't forget to subscribe, but you say, please like, comment, and share the video. Alright, so thank you very much for today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Daripada Anas bin Malik radhiyallahu anhu berkata, Nabi SAW pernah berdoa, Allahumma inni a'udzubika minal barasi wal jununi wal juzami wa min sayil asqam. Ya Allah, aku berlindung denganmu daripada penyakit sopak, penyakit gila, penyakit kusta dan penyakit-penyakit yang buruk. Hadis diriwayatkan oleh Al-Imam Abu Dawud dengan sanad yang sahih.
Boleh kot lah. Cubaan suara. Cubaan. Oh, wire. Cubaan.